and it has shaken financial markets.
The war in Ukraine is having a heavy impact on global trade and the price of things we all rely on. Canada.
Trudeau says he thinks about how angry messages affect his family. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in a podcast that he thinks about the angry messages some Canadians send his way and what impacts they and his job overall will have on his children. Before we proceed, please subscribe to the channel to get the latest political news as they unfold. Trudeau appeared on an episode of Inside the Village that was released Friday. On top of discussing his children, the Prime Minister also spoke about what comes next for him and his embattled Liberal Party and the recently announced cuts to immigration targets. When asked whether he speaks to his children about the animosity directed toward him from some Canadians, including those who wave flags reading F. Trudeau, the Prime Minister said that people don't think much about the flags but I do. That's my daughter's last name on that flag, Trudeau told hosts Michael Friscolanti and Scott Sexsmith. That's the last name that my two sons will carry throughout their lives. The Prime Minister also said there are a few people who are very angry out there, but they don't represent everyone. Most Canadians are decent and thoughtful and just trying to make their way through in this country the best way we can. According to sources who spoke to CBC News, during a tense caucus meeting on Wednesday where about 20 Liberal MPs stood up to urge Trudeau to step aside before the next election, the Prime Minister also referenced his work and his children. The Prime Minister himself addressed the meeting, and two MPs told CBC News that he became emotional when he talked about his children having to see F. Trudeau signs in public. During the interview, Trudeau also said that he's going to try and engage and try to understand with Canadians who are upset with him, but there are people that can't be reached right now. In an example, Trudeau mentioned his half-brother Kyle Kemper, who appeared in an interview with right-wing commentator Tucker Carlson in June. Kemper has been a vocal critic of the Prime Minister's lockdown policies and the COVID-19 vaccine mandate, but he has also said some of the criticism Trudeau receives is unwarranted. I love him, still do, always will, Trudeau said. But, you know, I can't have real conversations with him based on facts and reality. And that's a real proportion of our communities, of our families, of our country that has gone that way. But Trudeau said that he's reassured by the vast majority of people who don't necessarily want that kind of thinking to determine what the future of the country is going to look like. Trudeau was also asked about the Wednesday caucus meeting and his response to the dissenting MPs who have called on him to step down. While Trudeau said he is determined to lead this party into the next election, he also acknowledged that some change is necessary. The Prime Minister said that a huge level of frustration is pointed and directed at him, but to prejudge the outcome of an election already is something that I don't think people would be too wise in doing. Although Trudeau has already publicly said he'll continue as leader despite the demand from some of his MPs, they have still given him a Monday deadline to decide his future. What happens after that deadline isn't clear, but New Brunswick MP Wayne Long, who is part of the dissenting group, has said it will be up to each individual MP. On Thursday, the federal government announced it is cutting the projected number of new permanent residents from 485,000 this year to 395,000 in 2025, with further cuts to 380,000 in 2026 and 365,000 in 2027. Trudeau said during the interview that the pandemic disrupted Canada's immigration flow, and once things returned to normal there was still a massive labor shortage that needed to be addressed. The Prime Minister also said it's not that his government shouldn't have brought in temporary foreign workers after the pandemic, but we weren't quite as quick as we could have been to turn off the taps. The new immigration levels plan will cause a 0.2% population decline over the next 2 years, a government press release said. It said the plan will also reduce the housing supply gap by approximately 670,000 units over the next few years. Thank you for watching until the end. Please share your thoughts in the comments section and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates. Trudeau says he thinks about how angry messages affect his family. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said in a podcast that he thinks about the angry messages some Canadians send his way and what impacts they and his job overall will have on his children. Before we proceed, please subscribe to the channel to get the latest political news as they unfold. Trudeau appeared on an episode of